Hey everyone, my name is Mike Vaughn. I work for GVN, and I have a really special guest today, Josh Ruben. He's a writer, director, actor, and now graphic novel maker. I don't
Dude,
know, doer. Yeah. um, First of all, congrats on reaching your goal and then some. Like that's
thank
amazing.
you. Yeah, dude, I'm like refreshing it 'cause I haven't checked it all day. I was like compulsively checking it yesterday because we rocketed past our monstrosity of a goal at $8,500 for a book, and we're at 8975 right now. So I'm wondering if by the end of our interview, or at least certainly by the time you put it up, if we'll have exceeded 9,000, because it's only by my math another $25 away, and that blows my mind.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Anyway, yeah, incredible.
Yeah, and I put my money where my mouth is. I got the it's the graphic novel and print tier, so I'm very
Yeah.
excited.
Oh my God, that's so generous of you, man. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I mean, that's the cool thing is I had to wrap my head around this campaign. I've mentioned this a few times, but I was so resistant to the idea of doing a Kickstarter because I feel very guilty, feel like shame asking for something. And my partners at Invader reminded me it's not asking really for anything. Sure, people can just contribute if they want, but it's pre-orders. You're basically asking for people to, if they're interested in pre-ordering the book's coming out anyway. But what's great about the campaign is that it pays for, well, first of all, I went out of pocket to pay my artist, Brianna Tippett. So it's reimbursing for that payment and also paying her for the last leg of revisions, which she's due for some PR costs. There's like basically jump starting the printing process, which is a thing. So it's just really heartening that we've come this far and exceeded it. It's just, beyond my wildest expectations. I was like, $8,500. There's no way we're going to get there in a month. And it was like, sure enough, less than a month. And sure enough, we made it like 3 days, 3 days in advance. So I'm just bowled over.
Yeah, that's so awesome. It's funny because I was happy to just be working um when y'all crossed that. I was like occasionally refreshing, seeing how y'all were doing, and it was like when you
Yeah.
hit that, I was like, yes, that's awesome.
I know it's so crazy. It's just I think there's something about, like, I don't know, maybe it was the pandemic, but there's just something about how hard media just is evidenced too by your wall, which I'm sure you've been amassing for many, many years. But there's something just about it, just so wonderful to see. Like I'm jealous of people who, I should say envious. No, I'm jealous. That's the word, right? When you can't have something. So jealous of people who jumped on the Criterion flash sale recently and got all these like amazing DVDs that were like 50% off, because I don't own a DVD player. Probably should. But yeah, hard media is just back in a big way. Like comics, which I'm back into, vinyl, cassette tapes, even like TerrorVision, graphic novels. And I was just like, I just want to jump on this bandwagon. I just think it's so exciting.
Yeah, no, I saw your post the other day with your some of your horror comics and stuff, and that's very badass. I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Um
Thank you.
so it's funny because one of your movies is over here. Well, don't I don't have Scare Me yet, which is awful, but
Criminal.
in this bad boy.
Well, oh man, that's such a beautiful Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I gotta say, good job, RLJ.
Oh yeah, they I have like I have a whole section of just all their stuff.
Yeah,
They're like very cool, and even when they don't send me stuff to review, like I said, put my money where my mouth is. If you like something, you vote,
yeah,
you vote with your dollars, right? You show people that
yeah,
you that this stuff is necessary.
yeah.
For people that don't kind of know, what's your graphic novel about?
Graphic novel's called Darla, and it's basically it's about an irritable small town woman who, after suffering this vicious factory accident, starts to fantasize a monster in the confines of her home, where she's been spending a lot of time while also on pain medication and drinking fracked water. So it's about this irritable woman's slow descent into madness by the isolation that brings it out in her, and the interior circumstances and the exterior circumstances, and it's inspired by everything from like HBO's Tales from the Crypt to the
Nice.
Babadook and the Dead Zone.
That's awesome. And you know, it's something really interesting I've noticed, like, you know, seeing your work evolve just as a director, and also projects that you even just act in, is there's
Mhm.
always it's like there's like the entertainment values there, but then you always have like a message. There's always something deeper to kind of, you know, tie your threads together, so to speak, like
Mm.
narrative wise. And I just have to commend you. I think that's awesome. I think I think, you know, especially, you know, fringe genre is such a playground for exploring topics that are maybe a little bit divisive, or,
Mhm.
you know, controversial or whatever. But, you know, it's just, these are vital things that we need to talk about. And it's kind of a cool way
Yeah.
to,
I think it is. I mean, I was like, my gears were turning as you were commending me, which is very kind. Just like I was gonna say, yeah, I think Get Out really kicked off the social commentary DNA of these recent movies and horror in general, because it was like the epitome of film with something to say. And then you can, there are so many more examples than this, but you know, as far back, at least as I can remember, of a film that impacted me, and it wouldn't necessarily call it a horror movie, but you can look as far back as to Rocky Horror Picture Show and the allegory for the AIDS epidemic, and trauma against the LGBTQ community, which is, you know, so unfortunately relevant today, especially with like the drag and trans rights of it all. Um, it's always been inherent in genre. So it's like when it, where it was more stealthy, you're looking at like Robert Wise's The Haunting, which is such an inherently queer movie. I mean, there were so many. Or you're looking at something like Rocky Horror, or then Get Out, where you're dealing with, you know, marginalized folks and the plights thereof. There's been messaging in films, I think, really from the beginning of the horror community's output. But for this one, this is probably the most, as the red folk will call it, like the most arguably woke of Josh Ruben's work, because I definitely, like, I talk about scare me, like I wrote it at the height of Me Too when I was angry, and Werewolves just came at that just at an amazing time, and I was able to just kind of hone in something very specific and personal to me about growing up in upstate New York, where there was a lot of gentrification happening, from city peeps. But this was like, you know, just flatly, I wrote it when Trump had been elected, and we were all like terrified by this cultish infection that was sort of insidiously seeping into our country, like, you know, toxic water. So hopefully people won't read it and be like, "Oh boy, he's like he sure hates us right wing folk." But it's just kind of like, it's more just like in a Nightmare on Elm Street kind of way. There is something so terrifying that people's senses of reality are skewing to danger. There's something about, you know, having a movie star, I should say a television star, that's influencing people to bring out the worst in them. And that the heartbreak of that, of all of the above, is that they don't have someone to talk to. That they're very isolated. If you look at this book, you look at Darla, there are so many panels where she's alone. There's a lot of, except with the exception of what she's imagining. So she's having these kind of imaginary conversations, and then, you know, is convinced that her reality is against her and that she needs to take drastic action to fix things, as she says.
hmm. Yeah, that sounds really interesting. I mean, it sounds like almost it's horror, but it almost sounds very heartbreaking too, as you were
It
describing that.
is.
Yeah.
It is. I haven't referenced Dancer in the Dark at all, but there is like a little bit of Bjork's Dancer in the Dark,
Okay.
and certainly Requiem for a Dream and Darla. So, you know, it's very sweet. This, the guy that hosts Blake's Buzz, who reads, just devours many a comic, was like, there. It left me more heartbroken than I had thought. But you know, he was thankfully very praising. I have no idea, Mike, how people are going to take this, feeling like, oh yeah, the rewatchable, like, you know, horror comedy guys, like, oh, this is like Ari Aster's comic with a little more heartbreak and just kind of sadness. So I don't know how people will take it, but I'm thrilled to get it out there.
Yeah, so I think the obvious kind of question is, will this be a movie someday?
It was a movie to begin with. I was gonna, it was a movie originally titled Annie, And then I realized it was a musical. So I should probably change the title, change it to Darla. I was going to make a really wild and weird and kind of sad, almost Ted Hope era style indie called Darla, where I wore the prosthetics and played, essentially like an Ari Aster movie character or Todd Solondz anti-hero. And then I just sort of thought, no, if we make the movie, wouldn't it be awesome if like Molly Shannon or Sarah Paulson or Margot Martindale could sink into the role. And then I just sort of thought, I don't know if people are going to want to see bleak stuff. There was a time 4 years ago and beyond when I think we had an appetite for the more bleak trauma, horror, and now I think we're in more of the era of the Megan, nope, barbarian, fun, high concept, twisty vibe. So it was to begin with. I had written the script very, very quickly when I was banging my head against the wall working on a vampire movie I couldn't crack. And out came this. But if the opportunity ever came or the IP was ever purchased, I would want to hand it off to a filmmaker that just wanted to do something really, really stylish with it. Just someone with a real vision to get weird.
Who would be, if you could pick any filmmaker to take up that mantle, who would it be?
I love Sarah Adina Smith so much. She's she did Buster's Malheart and The Midnight Swim. She did she set the look, did the pilot for Hana, the Assassin series for Amazon. She's just an incredible visionary director, dear friend. And I remember a few years ago, I like lightly alluded to, what are you reading? Are you looking at anything right now? Would you attach to anything?
Just slip something casually.
Yeah, truly. I've become that producer now as I'm like, reluctantly and yet anxiously dipping into, producing for other folks. I think Sarah would really be something just because she has such a vision,
And now, that brings up something kind of interesting you were saying about being more in the producer mode. Is that something that you'd like to transition to, like instead of directing, or just kind of a little bit of doing everything?
I love not being pinned down, as you can probably imagine, as like the guy who shows up on like dropout game shows, like make some noise, being like the seagull sound maker, or like, then playing a serial killer and then announcing an alien movie with like some of the cast members from She-Hulk and Scream. I like not being pinned down, but I also, my wife said this recently, she overhears me on phone calls all day. She's like, wow, you're a natural born producer. And I didn't really want to set out to produce for folks, but I also realized that I have a responsibility. I think if I have any kind of momentum, who am I to talk? I barely have 2 movies under my belt. But as I do amass any kind of like anything of a reputation, I want to send the elevator back down and help people that I really believe in, especially people who don't look like me, like women, disenfranchised folks, people who just didn't have my privileged upbringing. I went to acting school, worked a little bit at Best Buy, and then like fell into a career working with my best friends at College Humor, which was a salaried position for 7 years. And then I rolled right into directing like Tide commercials before I was able to cash out my 401k and make my first movie. That's even though that was a long and frustrating path to a degree, and I did background work for many, many years, it's still a privileged upbringing. So if I can produce for folks who, who've had a harder time, like climbing the ladder, especially right now, I think, like, I know we need more women directors and more opportunity for women directors and women identifying directors. It's just something I feel, passionate about. So if I can be the idea machine, or I can at least like broker a relationship with some talent as I'm making stuff or I'm acting in stuff, that's all producing is. It's like ultimately you could text someone and be like, hey, great actor, would you want to read some awesome script that this new up and comer or this great director I know who hasn't really had their shot yet, would you want to attach to it? And maybe that builds a package. I like that more than I thought I did.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, That's amazing. I mean, it's great because you hear so much negativity about how like people in power like kind of wield that
Yeah,
inappropriately. But here we have somebody that's doing the exact opposite. That's like, all right, you know what? I don't always have to be like, producer, director, everything.
yeah.
I can hand it off to somebody else and, have that faith to give somebody else a kind of a leg up. That's amazing.
Well, there are filmmakers out there who are doing it and who've been doing it for a long time, and I can tell you straight, just being having my ear to the rail in my community, I know from buddies and close circles that people like Mike Flanagan and Mark Duplass put their money and their power where their effort is, where their mouth is, um, and they make the effort, and that's something I want to do. I think there's also just like there's a bone in me, like a helpful bone, and I don't know if that will make me like rich and famous, but I it makes me happy when I wake up every day and have many a thing to work on, and there are other people I can help, like climb the ladder while also like not aging out into oblivion as these like incredible new up and coming filmmakers do their thing. I want to be a part of that. I want to like kind of inform them. And hopefully one day it means I can, just decide to finance some incredible grant, similar to what like Jeremy O'Harris is doing in the theater community right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now you kind of alluded to it a little bit, and I was doing some IMBD sleuthing. So correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but Green Bank, as that's the alien movie that you were referring to a little bit earlier.
Yeah, yeah. Yes, sir.
Because I saw that Tatiana Maslany is attached. She's
Yeah.
amazing. A friend of mine, Michael Swartz, just put her in an incredible short film. I don't know if you've seen it, Snatched.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did. Yeah, with Misha. Yes, awesome.
amazing.
Yeah.
I thought he did such a terrific job. I was on the press junket for that, and I think like there was like two or three that were like really stand out, but of course, like with the queer theme and the subject matter, of course, like hit home to me. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure there was some other shorts that were not my particular culture, but like hit
Hmm.
for other people. But that one was like
Hmm.
so good.
So bang on. Yeah, such a brilliant concept. I love Snatch. And I believe I believe their name is it's Mishna is the lead of that, right, from Freaky.
Hmm.
Um, I think they're so great. I'd love to find a project with them. So and just for Tat at the helm and just to get a hint of her playing villain was just so exciting. I talk about packaging and just like um, getting something produced and getting something up the ladder. If I didn't have the talent relationships with Tatiana and Jasmin, and I couldn't just text them as buddies and say, "Would you want to read this script?" They wouldn't. We would have had to wait for some agent to read it, and then 2 weeks go by, and then they get in touch with them, and then it's another 2 weeks, and such and such. And so much of it is the relationships. I don't take that for granted at all. So I'm stoked that my producer Andy Horowitz is just like, yeah, sure, let's they would be great. Like, go for it. Let's get
That's
a package going.
That's awesome. I mean, like, sincerely, any project that you're on, like, this sounds so Annie Wilkes, but like, I'm so excited for it.
No, yeah, bring up that dessert tray. So long as you don't hobble me, I think I'm happy to write that novel for you.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, I mean, like, again, double whammy, Scare Me was awesome. Werewolves Within was awesome. Like, it's hard to like choose which one's my favorite because there's things that I love about each one of them. Like, I'm sure it's the same way with you. It's like a
Oh,
favorite
thank you.
child or something.
Oh yeah. I mean, they come with such a bundle of different memories, but I'm just so happy that those are the first two. It's
Yeah.
pretty exciting, and just to see every year, like whatever the letterbox numbers tick up or the fan numbers tick up, people discover them. It's hard to get people to watch your movie, especially when your movie came out like flat in the middle of COVID, which were my films one after the other. But I I I I can't I'd be remiss to not voice that I wasn't pining to have my Zach Kreger moment, because then that changes things. You theoretically you get an overall deal, you get more team to help you, and then I would kind of mischievously, not even mischievously, I would excitedly uh, imagine or compose that continuation of producing for other people. It's like, oh great, now we can rope in this incredible cinematographer, this incredible filmmaker who put this short out. I don't know how many people have seen it, but my God, maybe we can lift them up a bit.
Yeah,
That's the exciting thing about not knocking it out at the box office. So that's the goal with the next one. I'm hoping that Green Bank will be a real thrill ride. I mean, the script is just like it's phenomenal, phenomenal.
yeah, that's awesome. And again, it's nice because it's like just as you don't want to be pigeonholed into one sort of like career. It's like I
Mm-hmm.
like how almost like chameleon like you are in the genre. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Scare Me is, I feel like it's horror comedy, maybe a little bit more comedy, but it still has that
Mm-hmm.
nice horror flavor. Like Werewolves Within is more like a kind of a cozy mystery, kind of whodunit, with
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
some horror flavoring.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, that's why I want to push it on Green Bank. I want to ratchet so that it becomes undeniable for anybody who's really been wanting the blood or wanting the scares in the last two. I want to really, really go for it on this next one because I think there's it's also that's the kind of film that I want to see too. I'm just as much of a Beetlejuice, Tremors, and Arachnophobia fan as I am like a Nightbreed, Nightmare on Elm Street, and whatever Stephen King's Cat's Eye or New Nightmare fan.
nice.
So I want to dig into darker territory for sure. I'm excited.
That's awesome. Now, I'm kind of curious if you ever got the opportunity, what would you feel about like developing like a series? Like, does that hold any interest for you?
It does. It really does. It's just it's a tough world. It's an intimidating world because you have to conceive an idea. I don't know. It changes every day. It's like what people are looking for. At one point, limited series was a dirty word because it's very expensive to just spend a bunch of money and knock something out as call it an anthology or a one off, a mini series, an event, and then not have it continue if it were successful. But I I would love to. I'd love to find something in the genre space. I'd love to find something in the genre space we could do in the Hudson Valley, just because
Mm.
that's where the last two movies were. It'd be really fun, and there's such great crew up there. To go back to my like Hudson Valley film crew folks and like keep it local, and that'd be really incredible. But I don't know what that idea is. You have to get excited about something that could go in success for 3+ years. And I like to keep things varied. So I was toying with um, something in the Scare Me universe, you could say, that might be kind of interesting. But I think Room 104 played in a similar space where it's sort of experimental and performance based. But I don't know. Then I watch shows like White Lotus, and I'm like, it feels so effortless, and it's so funny and so human, and yet it's probably like it's Mike White's a genius. It probably requires such meditation, and it's almost like sort of like DNA analytics, forensic analytics to make work, and that's just what that world is. And I've been such a movie guy. It was such a one-off 90-minute kind of a brain, but I'd love to get in a series for sure.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Like, I know I feel like maybe like horror anthologies are kind of hot now. I know, like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm like totally blanking. This week's been hit the ground running, but like the Guillermo del Toro series,
yeah,
Cabinet
cabinet,
of,
yeah, yeah,
um,
curiosities, yeah, it's good, really
yeah,
good.
that was awesome. Something
Yeah.
like that I think would be really awesome. Kind of, I love how he kind of plays with, it's all horror, but he plays with, definitely it's more of like the social commentary, like the kind of stuff that I really appreciate about your work.
Hmm. Mhm.
So now just to kind of pivot back and I'll wrap it up here soon. But the people that did donate, like myself, when do you I believe I thought I saw that it was the end of maybe next month that the
Oh, what's that? That the book is out?
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. I believe Darla hits is at least available to order to the public and hits some newsstands May 31st,
Nice.
2023, which is very exciting. So I'm actually going to I think I'm gonna knock on some local comic book stores and just be like here in Los Angeles, like there's this place Revenge of I'm really excited about, and Dark Delicacies. Like I always see Mick Garris like doing events
Oh,
there. Heather
nice.
Wixon had her book signing there. I wanna do little events to just meet people and sign some books and just put in the time. Um, I'm excited about. I don't know. I'm just so I'm so not nearly in like David Dismalchin's level or Flanagan's level, but I'm excited for the era where after a movie comes out and something that way more people have seen than the last two, and then I can like go to a store and like sign a pile of books and talk to people and just kind of interface because it's something that I really missed. I think we all missed these past few years just with the pandemic. So it's a piece of why I wanted to get into publishing really and get into comics is because I'm envious of that community to that degree. It's so much interfacing. I'm watching my buddy Sarah Natacheni, who's the previous voice of Ash and Pokemon, and she's doing all these panels and just you get to interface with fans, and that's a very different thing. You're interfacing with a celebrity who's that's her product, is her voice. But I dream of being entrenched in the comic world to that degree, even if it's just five folks stopping by, some local comic store and we can just like chat about it. I don't know. So I think I'm still eager for the social interaction I missed out.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely. Are you yeah, I was gonna say it's I it's too bad it's like more on the East Coast, but my friend has the comic shop that would be really rad. Like he's
I'll go anywhere. I'm from the East Coast.
oh, there
Plug
you
it.
go.
Which one is it?
So it's called the Comic Closet and it's in Shrewsbury, which
Ooh,
is in Maryland.
oh, that's cool. I'm from Potomac, Maryland.
Um
That's so funny.
but yeah, he's really cool guy. He's like him and his partner own it, and I believe like they might have like branched out to a second location even. Like
Yeah, that's
it's
cool.
yeah, I mean it's so funny. I always thought like that would be the dream job, right? To have your own
Yeah.
comic shop. And then I saw somebody that worked at it 24/7 and then had another job on top of that. And I was like, oh wow. Like
Wow.
he's
It's
got
rough.
some yeah, he's got some employees, but like he's running the ship
It's
and
tight. Yeah,
yeah.
you got to show. It's like that's like owning a bar too. It's like I fantasize about. Oh man, wouldn't it be cool to have a bar? It's like, yeah, cool. You got to work the bar and you got to be
Yeah.
there, and like you have to find people you trust to open it up, close it down, manage it. It's like you can't just put your name on it, unless you're Mr. Moneybags.
Yeah, no, it's no, I'll see if I can I'm sure he has a website. I'll have to send it to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Please
But
do.
yeah, so I like I said I won't keep you too long, but I'm really excited to get my copy and I'll definitely do a review on YouTube so
Oh
all the
boy.
fans
Oh
can
man. I hope you like it. I'm
Oh,
so curious, man.
I mean just I mean, even outside of just like it was something that you did, it's like it sounded really interesting. And again, I love that kind of extra sort of meta text on like what we all kind of collectively were going through with the
Hmm.
isolation and just waking up to a new normal that is completely like fucked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Truly, truly. Yeah. You said it. Yeah. Well,
um
well said. It is. It is. And so hopefully there's like a little bit of catharsis in it, like, the equivalent of listening to a sad record after a breakup or, on a bad day. Like you just see Darla go through it and man, or also just see this person who is not a great person get her ass kind of kicked by this supernatural thing. I think that's certainly exciting too. But but hopefully it hits folks on an emotional level as well.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So hopefully by the time I post this, there'll still be some time for everybody to check it out and to
Yeah.
secure their copy. And I'll of course put the link in the description where y'all can get that. I'll also put where people can find you. But do you want to give out your social shout outs?
Yeah. I mean, just I constantly update my website, josh'smindhouse.com. Just head there, all one word. And yeah, I wonder if by the time this is up, we'll have crossed $9,000 for this book campaign. People's pre-orders. That would be insane.
I was gonna say, let me refresh here. Maybe we're
I see
getting close.
89.75. We still have 25 bucks. I mean, that's pretty. That's still impressive. That's still blows my mind.
That's awesome. I mean, I hope that this does really well. I hope you do another one. So I haven't read it obviously, but is it something that it lends itself to a sequel or like a spin-off or something like that?
I wouldn't say a sequel, but I love stories that take place in a world like this. It probably to a degree is related to, like, could take place in the same kind of fictional town of, where Scare Me did, where Werewolves did. It's kind of could be a Beaverfield like location. So we'll see.
Do you ever feel like you'd ever do little Easter eggs to kind of link all your other movies together? Is that something that's
I wish I had my slusho. I don't know it off the top of the dome. Like, I don't have my JJ Abrams like the product that's been consistent. But I've been noticing, like, there's a couple times, like, the word Daryl has come up, Daryl County.
mm.
Um, so it might just be the place, because it's, God, the place where I grew up is actually tattooed on my
Oh
arm, my
wow.
parents' house. The place I come from and that town was so influential. It's the same town, or in the same area, that Larry Fessenden came up and made movies like Wendigo, and continues to
Nice.
run Glass Eye Picks and stuff. So maybe there is something in the air for a genre folk, or in the water for that matter, for you Darla folk, about to read about this toxic water situation. Yeah, it probably is just the location.
Hmm. Cool. Well, again, thank you so much. This was awesome. It's always really fun to talk to you, pick your brain about all your awesome projects. I am so excited for Darla. And
Mm.
again, you all should check it out. I will link where you can still back that. Hopefully, we can get this up, this video up soon, and you all can still, get a chance to order a copy. And I'm sure, you'll probably have like places where even after the campaign people can get a copy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they'll get it through Invader, and rip through it and let me know if it ruined a small piece of you. Ruined a small
All
piece of
right,
your soul. Just let me know,
that's
or maybe
great.
not.
All right, well, hey,
Thank you so much, Mike.
yeah, absolutely.